every year, I always wanted to do a birthday challenge, and I never really got around to it. I always found an excuse. I wanted to work on something harder, but I'm turning 30 in 10 days, so I figured there's no better time than now, essentially, to do it. So it's the V100 challenge. It's in the guidebook. I remember looking at the back of it. Jack's Circuits is what they're called. So I read it a long time ago, and the whole purpose of it is you do 100 V points, V3 and above, and you can't repeat. So you can't just do the same V3 over and over again. It's a lot of volume of climbing. It's not so much my limit per se in terms of individual climbs, but when they get added up, it really is tiring. I keep track of kind of in my head. For quite a few months, I was trying to figure out what was the most natural way to do 30-ish climbs without having to go back and forth through the Glen. So that's a big challenge. I feel like there's an extra weight that I have to be extra careful not to, mess this up.
Jack, you ever heard of Jeremy?
Jeremy who?
Jeremy Penman.
Ah, Jeremy. Yeah, I know.
Jack circuits are circuits that I created when we were making the guide that I thought would be a fun way for people to set challenges for themselves if they kind of don't want a project at their limit, or if they're looking for a bigger overall challenge rather than just one boulder problem. The V100 challenge is just something that I thought was hilarious, because the idea of a V100 is funny to me, and it's never going to exist. So I figured, why not just try to do it by stacking up a bunch of boulders. Tried not to make any set in stone guidelines, and just kind of try to get it done in a day. You can change the rules to whatever you want to make it work, but it's just another idea for people to kind of go after.
All of the Niagara Glen is mostly limestone. The style takes some getting used to, especially Niagara Glen is incredibly polished for some climbs. You're slipping off feet, your holds are a little slippery. I fell! Sometimes it's painful. Limestone is not the most comfortable rock compared to, a sandstone or a granite boulder. Super wet. Everything's slippery.
To Jeremy, I would say I'm incredibly impressed, and if you can make it through that without tearing all your skin apart in the Glen, I think that's really impressive. It also means you must have great footwork, because we all know that getting through, 30 some odd glassy boulders in the Glen is no easy feat.
Definitely took Niagara Glen for granted. I was annoyed that it was 2 hours away. I wish it was closer. I wished there were more climbs that had, what I was used to. Sweet, we're gonna break the 50 barrier after the next boulder. Let's go. But this year, it changed my mind. I realized it's pretty rare to have literally 1,000 climbs just at anyone's disposal. They can just go there. And having this permanent resource of some of the hardest climbs in Canada are there still. I know we even have up to V14, so V0 to V14, I really can't be complaining. I go through areas sometimes that I never even realized were in the Niagara Glen. Still, I'm discovering these things. And it's amazing that you could have, 40 V0s to V3s, just beautiful lines everywhere that you don't get that in every area. That feels pretty special to have that. What I want people to realize with Niagara is that it is, an amazing resource, but don't take it for granted. Like it's not our garbage dump. It's not our, it's not, you're not supposed to be graffitiing things. Like it really bothers me when I go to the Niagara Glen and I see that stuff. I see graffiti, I see damage. Whoa. This is stuff that has been here for millions of years, and just leave it the way it is. That's the best approach, I think. There's that famous saying, take only photos, leave only footprints. That's a perfect analogy here.
I'm a board member with the Ontario Alliance of Climbers. We're a provincial volunteer organization that advocates for climbing access at climbing crags across Ontario. It's nice that we're able to return to the Glen and climb again, but at the same time, it's important for us to think as climbers about our impact at the Glen. Some of the big things to think about are things like spider trails. We've had a pretty significant increase in spider trails, not just because of climbers, but also because of hikers going off of the sanctioned trails, and that's a challenge that the Niagara Parks Commission is trying to deal with. One of the things to consider, especially if you're trying to use the Glen as your first foray into outdoor climbing, it's important just to think about the safety aspects, learning to pad a boulder in an appropriate way, learning to spot each other. As stewards in the Glen, I think that we can make sure that we're sharing the space with other park users. We need to make sure that we're being respectful of the paths and not blocking areas off with our crash pads or our backpacks. Advocating for climbers, right? Talking about how we love the space and sharing your passion for the Glen with other users.
I just past 50. I'm definitely feeling tired, but I feel good. My fingers feel strong, and I'm excited. The next next 3 climbs that's going to be the crux of the day for sure. I'm really excited to do that for sure. Based on the list, based on how I'm, have mapped this out, after doing about 70 V grades, I'll be doing the 2 hardest climbs on the list. So it's a V5 and a V6 on the same boulder. It's called Brave New World, which is the V5, and Doors of Perception, which is the V6. They actually start on the same holds, and they're fairly similar. They just kind of branch off. The concern is it's at a 50 to 60 degree overhang, so it is pretty physical. The holds are a little smaller. I know I can do these when I'm fresh, but if I'm a little bit tired, I don't know whether that will make it a lot harder. So for me, for sure, I'm focusing a lot on that. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. When it rains, it pours. So yeah, I just did I did Orders of Perception. So I thought this was going to be the hardest part. So hopefully this is done now, and I think I got about 30 more to do. I'm not having fun, but I'm really stoked. I did that in 3 total attempts, the 5 and the 6. So it saved energy, and my skin feels great. I think we got this. So let's do it. Let's finish it up.
When the sunrise, when the sun.
I think the biggest thing, the reason I decided to do it this year was because of COVID, the epidemic going on. I got really stuck in that cycle of going to the Glen and just trying to do the hardest thing possible. I wasn't really sending anything, but I was projecting hard stuff, and it really got to me. I think mentally it was really draining to constantly be doing that. And then with COVID, I was forced to stop climbing for a couple months. And definitely the first thing is I didn't understand what the point of climbing was. I lost the point of it because for me, I love going to the gym to get stronger, to go do something outdoors. And then all of a sudden I wasn't allowed to climb outdoors, or shouldn't really. I shouldn't have, no one should be going around, you know, back in March and April when it was really bad. I'm someone who's very goal-oriented, and when I don't have a goal, I figured this out this year, I become unmotivated, and I really did lose my interest in climbing for a couple months. I think I also took it as an opportunity because I was forced to stay at home, and so I actually built a little home wall, which I've always wanted to do. Probably wouldn't have been done for 4 or 5 years on like a normal schedule, but COVID kind of, you know, we were forced to do it with all the gyms closing. It also made me realize like why I climb. It's not, I missed out on that going climbing for fun for so many years, just trying to keep pushing myself, and it became more of a grind instead of an actual fun experience, which I missed out. And I like both aspects of climbing. I think there's room for both of them. Once things started opening up again, I went to the Glen and I absolutely fell in love with just doing V3s, 4s, all these climbs that I had skipped because I deemed them not hard enough, but it brought back my joy of climbing. And so what better way to like actually solidify it and do a challenge and push myself than to do this, the V100 challenge.
This V100 challenge is not only very impressive, but it's exciting because it kind of rejuvenates a bit of love for climbing in the Glen after such a long time where we weren't actually able to climb there due to COVID.
Pretty good, man. Hey, man. Did. Thanks for filming. Well, that's it. That was awesome. I highly recommend in the Glen to try the V100 challenge because thank you, Jack, for the idea. In the guidebook, you know the rules. Try yourself because that was so much fun. Like discovering all the different climbs and whatnot. Best part about these things. And you guys, thanks so much, eh?
Good job, dude.
No, I didn't. When did he do that? Congrats to him.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What do you think? You think you should try the 200 next?
For sure. I think V100 is like, you know you can do it, especially Jeremy's a strong climber. So I think the bigger challenge for him will be the V200 challenge. And then in my mind, the ultimate goal has been the V300 challenge. But that's going to require like a lot of planning and a lot of day flashes.
So if you're inspired by the V100 challenge and you're thinking of coming down to the Glen to climb, some of the things you should definitely do are getting your permit. Anyone who climbs in the Glen needs to purchase a bouldering permit and therefore agree to the climbing guidelines here. If you're not an Ontario Alliance of Climbers member, then definitely visit our website and sign up. It's $5 for a lifetime membership.